Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's Hitler!
What's up, guys? It's Benny. The internet has been set ablaze by new government documentation that Hitler didn't die in a bunker in Berlin by suicide in 1945, but instead lived out his days in a spa in Argentina with his children. Let's get into this new claim that is going viral right now. What is a rat line? This is what we know as a matter of fact. A rat line is a system of escape for German Nazis, fascist leaders, fleeing Europe in 1945. They went from Germany to Spain, and then from Spain to Argentina. These are well-operated lines, and thousands of Nazis traveled on them, and they landed in Argentina, and many of them lived out their days. Starting in 1947, the United States intelligence agencies used these lines to move certain Nazi scientists to America to work for us and our space program, along with our other intel agencies. You ever heard of the CIA? Got it. While consensus among Western scholars is that Nazi leader Adolf Hitler died by suicide, in the 1950s, the U.S. investigated the claim that he survived and fled to South America. What'd they find out? We'll get to that in just a second. These lines were supported and some were operated by clergy of the Catholic Church, Austrian archbishops, Croatian priests, and so on. Very interesting history here. Ladies and gentlemen, now secret documents on Nazis who fled Argentina after World War II are being declassified by the Argentinian government. The documents will likely include Nazi-linked bank accounts and records documenting the use of Nazi rat lines. Right? So now Argentinian leader Javier Milei has said he is going to declassify everything. This is sort of like their own MLK, JFK files, right? These are the files that the government has had and has been holding for a very long time. Up to 10,000 Nazis and other fascist war criminals escaped justice for atrocities by fleeing to Argentina and other Latin American countries. Some of them were very high-level Nazis, including Adolf Eichmann, and Joseph Mengele. Fled to South America. Rumors have swirled for years that Adolf Hitler also ended up there. Okay, so this has made massive news that Javier Milei is going to release these documents. Again, this is going to be a massive declassification operation. I think we'll learn quite a bit, in fact. But this is what went viral this weekend. A clip from the Redacted show, YouTube. It's a great show. I encourage you to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. That says what these documents are going to show is that Adolf Hitler did survive and did live out his days in Argentina. What do they know that we don't know? This did millions of views on X. Let's watch and listen.
And who have studied the subject know that Adolf Hitler didn't kill himself in a bunker in Berlin as the Red Army closed in. I think that's, we all know that was a fabricated story, or if you watch this show, you probably understand that. Hitler actually fled Germany weeks before that using a group of underground tunnels that led to an airstrip. And that airstrip was flown. He was flown from Berlin out. It took submarines, or multiple submarines that were used, U-boats that were then sent to Argentina. In other words, Hitler lived for nearly 2 decades more in Argentina, along with vast numbers of the Third Reich. Well, now Argentinian President Javier Milei has just ordered the release of all remaining documents on all of those Nazis who fled Germany and moved to Argentina after World War II. Basically, it was almost like a second base of operations in Argentina. If you're not familiar with that, like basically the Third Reich operated out of Argentina and Germany. And many of them, including Adolf Hitler, lived in Argentina well after 1945. Most people know that Hitler lived out his days in Bariloche, Argentina, until he died there in the mid-1960s. Yes, you can read the CIA documents about this. The FBI documents also about sightings of Hitler in this area. They knew about it. Of course they knew about it. It was largely facilitated, I think it's safe to say, by the United States and its allies. Operation Paperclip, anybody? Quid pro quo?
Also, if you look into this, the skull that is held in Russia that was supposedly the remains of Adolf Hitler with a bullet wound in it is female.
Yeah.
So when you look for proof that Hitler did in fact kill himself in the bunker, you are going to find a lot of dead ends.
Yeah, and all you need to read, you can read a great book on this called The Gray Wolf. It's a great book. There's many books written about this now. But yeah, the skull, the fragments, they ran the DNA tests on it, and the Soviets allowed them to do this testing. And even Stalin openly talked about that Hitler lived, that he was not there. So Stalin even knew about it. It's widely known in Argentina, by the way, well known, that Hitler sired 2 children while he lived in Argentina. After the war, 2 girls. Wouldn't that be something to learn where Hitler's children are today? Like Hitler's descendants? That'd be interesting. Maybe we'll learn that in those documents as well. But we'll be watching this story. I'm fascinated. It seems like there's an open era of transparency right now. You might.
So let's dive in here, because there's a lot of claims in there. First, let's go to the direct evidence of Hitler's death, which is 2 small skull fragments that were recovered by the Red Army, allegedly after Hitler shot himself and then had his body burned. Tests on skull fragments cast doubt on Adolf Hitler's suicide story. Bone with bullet hole found by the Russians in 1946 came from an unknown woman, not the German leader. Oh, why Hitler's world may not be so far away. Countless biographies of Adolf Hitler and the story of his final hours recounted the traditional version, committing suicide with Eva Braun in Berlin by cyanide pill and then shot himself. Some historians expressed doubts, though. And also, it is true that Joseph Stalin regularly raged that they never had any direct evidence of Hitler's death. In the wake of new revelations, stories of Hitler's death may need to be rewritten. American researchers claim to have demonstrated that the skull fragment, secretly preserved for decades by Soviet intelligence, belonged to a woman under 40 whose identity is unknown. DNA analysis performed of the bones, held by the Russian state in Moscow, has been processed by genetics labs at the University of Connecticut. The results broadcast by U.S. History Channel. Hitler's escape astonished scientists. According to the Connecticut archaeologist, the bone specialist, Nick Balattoni, it was clear that from the outset something was amiss. The bone seemed very thin. Male bones tend to be more robust. The structures of the skull plates came together seemed to correspond with somebody under 40. Hitler was in his 50s. Balattoni flown to Moscow to inspect the gruesome Hitler trophies at the state archives and included the skull fragment and bloodstains from the bunker sofa on which Hitler and Braun were believed to have committed suicide. He was allowed only 1 hour with the Hitler trove, during which he applied a cotton swab and took DNA samples, had the reference photos the Soviet took to sofa. He came back to Connecticut, ran the tests, and, ping! This is a woman skull. So this is clearly not Hitler. The skull DNA was incontestably female, he found. Skull fragments the Russian dug up could not have belonged to Hitler. So this is the only positive proof that Hitler shot himself and suddenly has suddenly been rendered worthless. The results mystery reopened. And so what is the other possibilities? Well, let's talk about Operation Paperclip, which was talked about in that clip there from Redacted. Operation Paperclip is the successful United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, technicians were taken from Nazi Germany to the United States for employment after World War II. Between 1945 and 1959, several were confirmed to be former members of the Nazi Party. An effort began in earnest in 1945 when the Allies advanced into Germany and discovered a wealth of scientific talent and advanced research that had contributed to Germany's wartime technological advancements. So they created an operation in order to smuggle these scientists out and gave them pardons, effectively, for anything done during the wartime in order to go help America defeat the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had a similar program and emphasized the same fields of research. The operation characterized the recruitment of German scientists and their families, relocated more than 1,600 German experts to the U.S. It's been valued at $10 billion in patent and industrial processes. The recruits included notable figures like Wernher von Braun, leading rocket technology scientists. It was like the godfather of NASA, actually, right? Developed the entire space program. Operation Paperclip has been controversial because of Nazi affiliations of many of the recruits associated with war crimes into American society. Yeah, don't look too hard into the founding of the CIA, which was the #1 landing spot, actually, for these German scientists, right? Okay. So what they are alleging here in the clip is that maybe this was a quid pro quo. Maybe Adolf Hitler was traded for all of the German technological intelligentsia that was being used. What about the documents? Well, here we go. Here they are. Here's at least the ones that we have been declassified that we know of. You can read here in the CIA archive an individual that says that Adolf Hitler is living happily in Argentina and that they have a photo of him from 1955. And that they have a copy of that photograph right here. And here he is, microfilm. And it's signed Adolf Schrittenmayer. This photo was taken in Colombia, allegedly, and was submitted to the CIA by a spy. Stated that Hitler left Colombia for Argentina around 1955, and that Allies could no longer prosecute Hitler as a criminal of war since 10 years had passed since the end of the war. I'm not sure about that, but this is a real document. The left person is alleged to be Hitler in the photograph. Here also is another CIA document and top secret document. The following information, which concerns the possible hiding place of Hitler in Argentina, has been passed on by a source. Apparently in a spa hotel in La Falda in Argentina. Recently made the following observations: that before the Nazi Party was founded, available to Goebbels, her entire bank account, which at the time accounted for approximately 30,000 marks, and money was to be used for propaganda purposes. She was an enthusiastic supporter of Adolf Hitler, and that Hitler effectively moved there and found that hotel as a retreat, and it was prepared for him after the war. So these are the government's own documents. You can read them for yourself. What do you believe? Well, some scientists have also said, no, actually, the skull is definitely real for Adolf Hitler. But, you know, what do I know, right? Like, we can just look at the available evidence here. And to create this retelling of the story, you're going to have to provide some evidence, right? Because there's it's not a theory that the rat lines happened and that America was clearly trafficking in Nazi scientists, right? And valuable Nazis. So what's real? I'm not sure. Redacted is the YouTube channel. You can find the full clip here, and there you can see their shows. I encourage you to subscribe and check it out, right? But that's what's being alleged right now. Obviously, our government's getting into it. There are messages from our Senate, right, about the declassification of these documents. Will they prove that the Argentinian government knew that Hitler fled there and was living there and lived out his days? I don't know. That is the available evidence for you. And without any physical evidence that exists of the official story, well, all I have to say is this. What they told us about Epstein was clearly a lie. What they've told us about every death relating from JFK to the death of anyone who had evidence against any of the Clintons, those are all lies, clearly. They lie about the deaths of important people all the time to cover up the truth. And so we're left to speculate. But that's the information. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See you.